Ever since the introduction of Europe-wide NCAP crash tests, car safety and the protection of occupants have improved steadily. The tests are carried out as head-to-head crashes with an overlap of 50%. But out on the road, most accidents occur with a much smaller overlap. The problem is that the parts of the chassis specially put in place to absorb impact are ineffective, as the majority of crashes affect areas where there is little protection. Another problem is that vehicles on the road are of differing height and width. Their weights vary, and some have tougher frames than others. There is a big advantage in combating these problems to improve protection for other cars you might hit. The German Auto Club's accident research program shows that most front-end crashers occur with an overlap of only about 20%. To enable better comparison, they use two identical cars. It's almost impossible to see in real time. The impact is absorbed on the edges, which are not properly buffered. The cabin is unable to protect the occupants, and the wheels of the two cars interlock. According to Volker Santner of the German Automobile Association, the chassis beams take the force and transfer it to the windscreen pillars, to structures that are not meant to take it. Vehicles in this test lost their wheels. That means that the front axle was pulled off. The force of the impact was taken up here, but ultimately it went into the windscreen pillars and the footwell of the other car, and that means severe injury to the legs and other extremities. But a side-on crash could also mean the head hitting the A-pillar, particularly if the airbag system does not work properly. In a second test, the ADAC used the same vehicle model, but widened the chassis crossbeams and installed a deflector shield. This was meant to stop the two cars' front wheels from becoming tangled and to reduce the impact on the cabin and passengers. There's an upper route for the force of impact. The idea was simple, just to bring this element out to the side to create one more reinforcement. That extends the crumple zone not only to the side members, but also includes these outer areas and creates a surface that deflects parts of the other car. That helps protect the critical areas. The vehicles are put back together in preparation for the second crash test. Even in real time, you can see that the two cars virtually slide past one another. The cabin remains a safe area for the occupants, and the wheels do not get caught up in one another. The results show that the average force on the dummies is reduced by 35%. Part of the reason for that is that a new emergency braking system helps absorb the impact. The test center head is pleased. Here we can see the deflection area. This shows that the two vehicles deflected on that surface, were able to hold up, and in the further course of the crash did not damage the cabin of the car. The cabin, the windscreen pillar, and the footwell are still as intact as they would be in a new car. The deflection panel could also be widened to the front of the car. That would enable the use of deflection panels to enable different vehicles of different sizes to slide past one another, so as to ultimately create better compatibility between different types of vehicles.